Right, what's happening, people, and welcome back to the Joey Knight podcast. Now, I am live today from the 5 UK studios, so thank you very much to the guys at 5 for letting me use this lovely studio to bring you lot my match preview for Chelsea's trip to Bournemouth on Sunday. So at 2 p.m, we're making the trip to the Vitality Stadium. I will be in the studio on Monday with Josh to review the game and break down all the talking points that went into it, so hopefully we win. But if you can't wait that long to hear my initial reaction, on Sunday at 4 p.m, the kickoff live stream, we'll be watching along for the Arsenal against Everton game, but I will also be giving my reaction to Chelsea's match against Bournemouth. Anyway, I'm going to switch it up a little bit today. I'm going to start off by giving you lot my starting 11 for the game. So, straight away, I think we need to go to the 4-2-3-1 formation. We saw it a lot in pre-season. It was a formation that I thought we looked good in, and I understand that with the absentees of obviously Christopher Nkunku and a few other players, it might make Pochettino want to play the formation that he has been, but I do think we need to go back into that 4-2-3-1. So without any further ado, my team would be Sanchez in goal. We're going Malo Gusto right back. I want a centre-back pairing of Thiago Silva and Levi Colwill, and left back Ben Chilwell. He needs to be at left back this match. I do not want to see him anywhere near that left wing. I understand that Pochettino likes him there, and I understand that his delivery and the service that he gives to other players, including Jackson's, very, very good. But Levi Colwill is just massively wasted at left back. So I do want to see him moved into that centre-back role where I think we will see the best of Levi Colwill. The midfield two, I want to see Caicedo lining up alongside Enzo Fernandez. And then the three in front, Raheem Sterling back over to the left wing. We saw him do a lot of damage there over multiple seasons for Man City and Liverpool, and I do want to see him back on that left wing, cutting inside. Cole Palmer in the 10. He looked very good for the England under-21 side during the international break, and he's a player that I was massively impressed by when he came on against Nottingham Forest, albeit he wasn't able to save us in that match. And on the right-hand side, I'm going to go with Noni Madueke. Up top, we know who it is. It's Nicholas Jackson. I do genuinely believe that he is going to come good and hopefully get a goal or two in this game. A couple of players that we could see getting minutes in this game is obviously Armando Broja. He has been sidelined with a long-term injury, but he did resume training, I think about 3-4 weeks ago or something now, and a lot of people are expecting him to get a couple of minutes off the bench in this game. And I honestly do believe that maybe not in this game, but going forward, when Broja comes back into this definitely squad, maybe even potentially start in 11, it's going to give Mauricio Pochettino some real headaches when it comes to the selection between him and Nicholas Jackson, because Bro is a player that I've been massively impressed by. However, we understand he's coming back from a long-term injury, and players aren't always going to be able to hit the ground running straight away when they come back in. So I think we need to give him time, but we could see him. We could also see minutes for Benoit Badiashile, who's another player that I think we've missed, albeit we do have quite a lot of depth at centre-back. Whether we see him come on or not, I'm not too sure, because obviously as the substitutes go on later on in the game, depending on how we're going, obviously if we're in control of the game and we're leading by a couple of goals, which, let's be honest, that's not been happening too often recently for Chelsea, then we might see him introduced. But if we're chasing the game, I don't know whether he's going to be bringing on another centre-back. A player that I haven't mentioned there, Mykhailo Mudryk. Now, a lot of people have made a lot of content recently on Mudryk and discussed the whole Mudryk situation quite a lot. It's one that I don't want to speak on too soon. Obviously, look, so far, I don't believe that he's lived up to his price tag. I think that when you've come over and you've had as many opportunities now as he has, albeit maybe from the bench, you would have liked to have seen him at least score a goal, get on the assist sheet or whatever. But Mykhailo Mudryk, I'm not going to cast judgment on him too soon. Let's see if he starts this match. He really needs to get a run under Mauricio Pochettino. We've seen it with players in the past that were sort of underperforming. Pochettino's come into sides, whether that be at PSG or at Spurs in the past, even at Southampton, and he's took certain players under his wing and got the best out of them. So I'm not writing off the possibility that that could happen with Mudryk, but I personally wouldn't have him in the starting 11 just yet for this match. So let's quickly touch on Bournemouth. Are Bournemouth any good? I actually think they are. I know that their start to the season has been a little bit underwhelming. They obviously haven't got a win so far, but they have looked all right in a couple of matches, had a couple of decent draws, and I do think that sometimes with teams down the bottom of the table, it can start off like this, and they can sort of start to pull form together. They did quite well in a transfer window. They spent quite a bit of money. They brought obviously Tyler Adams in. Alex Scott from, I think, Bristol City. He's a player that I'm not going to hold my hands up and say I watched a lot of Bristol City last season. I didn't watch any of them. But I am guilty of being one of these people that watches a few YouTube highlights, and Alex Scott looks really good. He could be a player that I do see possibly definitely coming into that under-21 England side in the future, and maybe even if he has a really good season, being that we haven't got all that much depth in the central midfield positions when you take aside, obviously, Bellingham and Rice, he could be a player that has a very dark horse outside shout of making that Euro 2024 squad. But all of that being said, regardless of whether Bournemouth have done good business or whether I think they're a decent team, they've already been beat this season by Liverpool. They've already been beat this season by Spurs. And if we are to put ourselves in that same sort of bracket as maybe not Liverpool, because I think Liverpool are going to be right up there, but maybe Spurs, then we do need to be beating a side like Bournemouth. Even last season, when Chelsea were absolutely horrific, we managed to do the double over Bournemouth. And I know that might have been a little bit of a fluke, because off the top of my head, I can't think of anyone. Leicester City. Apart from Leicester City, I can't think of anyone that we actually did the double over last season. So, bit tragic, but we should be beating Bournemouth in this match. I know it's at their ground. I know it's going to be a little bit of a hostile environment. Sometimes smaller stadiums with lower capacities can make for a much more fierce atmosphere, but it's definitely a match that we need to be winning. Now, if Chelsea don't get 3 points in this match, does that mean that we are in crisis? Well, in my opinion, it doesn't mean that we are in crisis, but what it does mean is we obviously are going to need to reevaluate where we see ourselves going this season. A lot of fans have probably already done that after the 4 matches played so far. I personally haven't. I'm going to stick with my guns here and say that we do get Champions League football, but I know some people will laugh at that and some people think that's very unlikely. However, you know, if you look at seasons gone by, obviously Man United had a pretty rubbish start last season. They managed to get Champions League football. Arsenal the season before managed to get themselves in pole position to get Champions League football, but in my opinion did sort of bottle it at the death a little bit. Even going back a couple of seasons before that, you look at Mauricio Pochettino's Tottenham side, I think it was his first full season, second season at the club, they was without a win in, I think, their first 5-6 games or something, and managed to finish third, giving a tiny bit of an outside title charge. I think Arsenal pipped them in the end. It was the season that Leicester won it. But yeah, they didn't get off to a good start. So not only have teams done this, Mauricio Pochettino managed sides have done this and then picked up form. And when you look at our personnel, there is real optimism that we will get things rolling. And I'm not only going on our personnel, I'm also talking about the underlying numbers. Now, the underlying numbers are very interesting because some people think that the only thing that's important in football is getting the ball in the back of the net. And to simplify things, let's be honest, it is. But underlying numbers do hold some significance. So I'm going to run you through a couple of Chelsea's. I don't know these off the top of my head, so I'm going to check my screen. Chelsea's underlying numbers, pretty good as I said. We rank 4th for expected goals created. We rank 3rd for expected goals conceded. And at this point in time, we rank 4th for expected points. And one thing I would say is you've got to factor into that, right? Them numbers would have been depleted a little bit by our last performance. Obviously, we had a massively lacklustre performance against Nottingham Forest, a match I was in attendance for, and we were rubbish. We weren't very good at all. And that would have dragged down those underlying numbers because obviously they're only going over 4 games and not a 38-game season or anything like that. So if we play bad in one match, you know, that's 1/4 of the underlying numbers that have sort of accumulated. So they would have been dragged down a little bit by that. Also, we rank 2nd, only marginally behind Man City for passes, 3rd for through balls, and 1st for crosses, 1st for possession. However, I have said in the past that, you know, we keep a lot of possession of the ball, but ultimately don't end up doing that much with it. They look really good for Chelsea, but it would be a massive oversight for me to not address the one seriously negative underlying number, and that is the fact that we rank 17th in the Premier League for, how do I even word this? Basically in the chance conversion table. So basically we are not finishing our chances. Obviously, we're creating a lot of chances because we'd have to be creating a lot of chances for us to rank so low, because if we weren't creating the chances, then we couldn't have missed all them chances and not ranked high. But it is something that drastically needs to change. Now, I do believe in Nicholas Jackson. I get it. People saw him miss a sitter the other day, and people are going to very quickly cast their mind to the fact that maybe he doesn't have that sort of potency in front of goal. I very much do think that he'll come good. I think it's very hard when you're a number 9, you're massively relied on to get those goals, and it's very hard coming into a lineup in a team that have come off the back of a bad season and are under an immense amount of pressure to perform in this season. I do think Nicholas Jackson's going to come good. I've watched him play many times now. The runs he makes, the tenacity, the positions he gets himself into. Listen, you have to get in the right positions to miss the chances. And I know that's a little bit of a cop-out by saying that, but it does give me room for optimism, let's say. So, my match prediction for this match, I think it's going to be a fairly tight affair. I think Chelsea have run out 2-0 winners. I see Nicholas Jackson hopefully getting on the score sheet. I know a lot of you will be back here in the comments if we don't beat Bournemouth, and you'll be giving me a bit of stick on that, but that's completely fine as long as you're in the comments letting me know your thoughts. So with that being said, I want to know your starting lineups for the match. I want to know your thoughts on what sort of tactics you think that Mauricio Pochettino's men need to impose upon Bournemouth. And ultimately, I want your match predictions for this match. As I say, I will be dropping a match review on Monday. I'll record it. I'll get it straight out for you. It'll be up Monday evening with myself and Josh Aveste. We're going to be on the kickoff on Sunday, where obviously I will be giving my initial reaction to the game. I'm really, really hoping that it's not a loss, because the boys will be grilling me over that one. And obviously, yeah, plenty more content coming out. So do me a massive favour, hit the subscribe button, click the bell so that you get a notification every time I go live. Thank you once again to the guys at 5 for letting me use the studio today. I'm going to link the latest podcast in the description to this video, because I'm on the take on today with Flex and Danny Murphy. So you'll be able to see that. That's going to be linked in the description, and I will see you all in the next one.